trees in the backwoods night. Red lights cutting through the pine in flight. Bigfoot stomping with his youngling beard. Whispers of tales that ain't too clear. UFOs buzzing solo through the haze. Howling banshees set the forest ablaze. Jersey devil howls, drink rays to the sky. Drunken cryptids party until the morning's night. Yeah! It's showtime, running wild in the moonlight. Stars burn down, watch the freaks all take flight.
To good times.
Raise your glasses to the mysteries divine. It's showtime, let the cryptids realign.
And welcome back to another episode of the Drunken Cryptids. You guys know me, I'm your host, Matthew Orton, and I do want to give a quick shout out to blademedia.com. Thank you, Dylan, so very much for the hard work you've put into the website and the logo. You've done a great job. Y'all need to go check out blademedia.com, BLAYED.com. Real quick, we are going to be at the Ada, Ohio Bigfoot Jamboree 2 this October 4th. I am going to be a speaker. Can't wait, you guys. I'm excited. And I'm also going to be here at the Arkansas Paranormal Expo. I'm not a speaker for this one. We will have a table set up, so please come by, say hi, and shake our hand. And, you know, we want to meet you and just come hang out. There'll be some specials going on afterward. Keep watching the social media pages. We'll keep you all updated on that one. But I do have... we do have a Patreon page, so if you want to support the show, guys, go ahead and find out whatever tier works for you. Great. Support, appreciate all the support. Check out the Buy Me Coffee. It should be up and running by the time this episode airs. So, yeah, if you want to help continue to support the show, buy me a coffee. I love coffee. I'm not going to lie. I know we're called the Drunken Cryptids, but I think I drink more coffee than anything else. Again, thanks to the team and everybody. We do have a lot going on, and it's kind of funny how life can happen in a really good way. I just recently celebrated my 50th birthday. Yay, I'm 50, half a century. That's kind of crazy. Never thought I'd hit 50, guys, but here we are. And at 50, I'm still chasing the dream. So you can do it. And the dream is actually chasing me back. And that's what we're going to be talking about this evening. Everything's happening quick. We've actually found a very active area that's, for some reason... some things are being drawn to this area, and as luck would have it, and as how, the world works, how God works, how it happens. Met a wonderful guy the other day during the first investigation up in our research area that we found, with Rain. Lisa, you guys, thank you again for, hosting and having us come up and do it. Happened to meet Bartley. And Bartley has been keeping records of sightings, everything going on through the area for a very long time. We are keeping the name of the location kind of private for now. We don't want to have a bunch of just people showing up and trying to drive through and, create chaos in this wonderful, beautiful little community in the foothills of the Ozarks. And that's about as much as we're going to tell you. So, but without further ado, let's get ready to bring on our wonderful guest, Bartley. Y'all know it's showtime. Hey, Bartley, how you doing, buddy?
Doing great.
And you're probably hearing dogs. So just as soon as we start recording, for some reason, the dogs want to get their voices heard.
That's so weird how that always happens.
All the time. Normally I'm outside recording, but I'm actually in my little boy's room because I prefer to record outside, but it just rained, and right after that, the sun hit, and everything jumped up 1,000+ degrees.
Oh, yeah.
So the humidity, I would just be sitting there dripping sweat. It would be no fun for you or for me.
Summertime in Arkansas.
It's great. I had to change shirts a couple times the other day when we met, and I do want to say real quick, it was awesome meeting you, man. It really was. You very polite, very, you look really young. So, but you just, but you hold yourself like you have an old soul.
Well, thanks for the compliment, by the way. I just turned 51 in May,
No, you
so
didn't.
I'm not kidding you. I'm 51,
Well, I
and
just turned 50 on July. Well, I haven't turned 50 yet because we're recording a few days before my birthday. But when this airs, I'll be 50, July 3rd.
well, what I can tell you is that after you turn 50, you start falling apart like rapidly.
Oh,
So
I got hurt in the military. I've already been falling apart for a long time.
you got
I'm
to
already there.
you got to jump start on that. Okay.
Yep, Uncle Sam was really nice. Well, I don't blame Uncle Sam for it. I mean, it was the job. It was the risk of the job. So that's just one of those things. It just happens. But no, I
Right.
didn't. I
Right.
would have never guessed you were 51. No kidding.
Really? Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, I've lived a clean life as clean life. So I never have been in the military myself, but uh, never never drink or smoke or anything like that. And back when I was younger, right after I got married in my 20s, so I rode mountain bikes a lot, climbed several high points, hiked a lot out west, and tried to. And ever since then, I've tried to take care of myself. So um, I hope it. I hope it shows. I mean, I'm in no hurry to leave this
I
earth.
I
I
thought you
enjoy
were
life.
young. I'm not gonna lie. I really thought
Yeah.
you were in your 30s. I would have never guessed you were 51.
Wow.
That's why it just kind of caught me off guard. I had an idea where we were going to start the conversation at, and we are talking about how great you look for your age. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. We need to dial this back in. Yeah.
but no,
Yeah.
we're on Unfiltered. That's how we do it here. But
Yeah.
no, but again, it was a pleasure meeting you. And you, so what got me was, because Rain and Lisa were really nice to invite us up there to come do the investigation.
Hmm.
And they did tell me that you were coming. And when I got there, she goes, "Hey, I told you." I said, "You did," and I have to apologize because that week at work, my work truck had no air conditioning in it, so it was already 105, 110 degree heat index, and the cab of that truck was probably about 10 to 15 degrees hotter.
Oh yeah. Easily. Yeah.
So like there was one day at 1:30, I hated everybody.
Right.
Everybody. I wanted nothing. I did. Oh, I was cursing people with air conditioning. I was cursing people in swimming pools. I mean, it was. I mean, I was just like, I mean, that's exactly. I mean, I was to the point like, I'm not going up in those woods. I mean, this heat. I'm not. That's how angry I was, and I lived for this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, like Talina even said, she was, had the kids and stuff, and they're like, "You're kind of cranky." I was like, "It's 120 degrees in the truck."
Don't look at me. Don't
Yeah,
talk to me.
don't talk to me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Dad. I'm like, no, Dad is gone. I mean, it was bad. And
Yeah. The heat tends to bring out the worst in people. I mean, you can just ask the police about that. They'll tell you that
oh
it's
yeah,
oppressive.
oh
Yeah.
yeah,
For sure.
road rage comes out. People yelling, screaming,
Oh
and
yeah.
hating each other. And I get it. I get it. I mean,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
again, it was like you said, there was no respite because you're in and out of the truck. Windows are rolled down, and then there was one day there was like a slight little rain for like 10 minutes, and all I thought
Yeah.
was my day just got worse. And it did. Humidity went through the roof.
So this was the day before you was supposed to come up here, or
That was
that
2 days before.
2 days before? All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
so 2 days before I was going up there, I was on the verge of just throwing my hands up in the air and saying, "This is no, no, no." And then Talina was like, she goes, on that Friday, I'd only worked a half a day, which was good. I'd worked really hard to get everything done, so I'd only work half a day, and I could try and get the air conditioning fixed in the truck. So, and she was like, "Hey, let's go somewhere. Let's go." So she took me where there's air conditioning at, and because normally we hang out on my deck. My deck is
Right.
the hangout spot. Friday night, everybody shows up and we hang out. That's the one night of the week that I don't. Either
Uh-huh.
I'm just getting my kids, so focus on the kids and everybody family night, or spend a long week and that's my night not to do interviews or do kind of no podcasting, nothing like that.
Yeah. Just take it easy.
Yeah, just take kind of a chill night. And so she was like, "Let's go to Eric." She was really slick about it. And I caught on about, early afternoon. I was like, "I know what you're doing. Good call." But yeah, with the AC no truck, it was awesome because they actually ended up, the mechanic and my manager texted me about 4 o'clock and said, "You have AC." And I was like, "Thank you."
Yeah. 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 You're a god.
That's how I felt. Like,
Yeah.
you guys are great. I love you. So,
Um,
but let's get into this already. So and the reason you were coming over there to meet Rainley is because it seems to me that you've taken on the role yourself of kind of keeping track of some really cryptid sightings that are going on up in that area.
yeah. So I mean, as we talked earlier, I've been interested in this phenomena for a long time. I mean, growing up, um, I didn't have. Uh, I was raised in a very religious, had a very religious upbringing. We had no television, um, and just things like conveniences like that most people had, I didn't have. But what I did have was a radio, and I don't know if you're familiar. You should be with your age, but uh, the late night AM radio.
Yes,
There was a show. Uh, I think the network was called Coast to Coast. It was hosted by a DJ named Art Bell.
exactly. I was about to say that. Art Bell.
Yeah, well, of course, as you know, it's now been taken over because he passed away sadly, but it's taken over by George Norrie. And so they would explore these topics quite often, and and I listened to that a lot, all the way up through my 20s, 30s, 40s, uh, whatever, and uh, just over from the last couple of years, I run on or heard George Norrie interviewing this guy by the name of David Pilates, or Pilates. He lives up in Montana. He's a published author, does a lot of work on this subject, and um, but he really kind of helped me understand some things just watching this YouTube stuff. But anyway, so that has what has so as I told you that's I started this journey years ago, and that was the genesis of it. Is hearing people call in late at night describing these creatures one after another. I mean, call after call after call, and I was like, and all these people would be they were scared. You could hear it in their voice. They were scared. They didn't know what to make of what had happened to them. And I'm like, there's no way these people are all lying. I mean, there's no way. And so then I've you know read some books since then on the subject that just newspaper clippings from all the way back into the 1600s of sightings of these things. It's newspaper stuff. You can actually it's in archives you can look up, and that certainly helped convince me that there's uh, something going on. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm just not ready to discount all these people, plus now some of my friends. Um, but yeah, that's what kind of got me started on this path. So ever since then, as I start hearing, different, and then that, in certain circles, you kind of got to watch how you bring the subject up because you don't know how other people are going to react. Because I mean, there's people that will completely disown you if they think you're that way. But
Well, so on that token, one, you're right, but for my story, I grew up with this. I grew up like this. I was always fascinated with stories of Bigfoot, with ghosts, werewolves, vampires, haunting houses. I mean, and I got to give my parents props. I really do, because I'm sure they thought I was going to turn into some really crazy serial killer or something like along those lines, you know. And it wasn't because I wanted to do those things, It was just that's for some reason that side of the natural world fascinated me. My mom
yeah,
had an encounter, in the early 80s. I've seen shadow people. I've lived in haunted houses, been out in the woods. Well, you know that, and
hmm
had, encounters and such out in the woods. I could have had one possible Class A sighting that was last year. Finally, I tell everybody, yeah, you're in the woods all the time doing this stuff, but you no, you're not going to see it. That's the key thing, and or whatever it is, and yeah, so yeah, I mean, and within, so, yeah, I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I get poked at. I do. I get poked fun of. Like the one of the owners of the company that I work for. I won the Driver of the Year award 2 years ago, and I went out to Nashville on a company trip, and he knew what I was doing. He knew my passions and stuff, and he poked fun at me. I always go hunting. There ain't nothing out in the woods. But one of the other managers had Bigfoot as a wallpaper on his phone, and the owner pulled me aside and he goes, "Go talk to him. He's got Bigfoot." And I was like, "Really?" So with that conception right there, that's the fun part about doing this stuff. And
Yeah.
And it's kind of fun. Like a lot of the guys that I work with, they know what I do, and some of them don't.
Yeah.
And so they'll be like going, well, where'd you go? What'd you do? Like, it's none of your business, but all right, yeah. And it's fun. To me, it's fun because, like I told you earlier too, before we start recording, when people tell me that it doesn't exist, I ask them for a reason. Where's the evidence?
Right.
Where's the evidence that these creatures don't exist?
Mm-hmm.
And they can't. Now I can come to you with evidence going, "Hey, let me evidence that it does exist." And, we saw the evidence on Saturday. I can, some of the events that took place on Saturday, I can question very easily and go, it could go one way or the other. You know what I mean? And like we talked about, I'm not saying what I heard was, Sasquatch growling at me, or the grunts were Sasquatch coming from the woods, from the weeds or anything. But I can tell you the knuckle print was definitely not, me or you or, I worked with a guy today and he has big hands.
Mm-hmm.
And I showed him the size, and I said, look at the size comparison here, and the finger is wider than his fingers, and this guy's like
Wow.
6'3".
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he should have been playing football.
Yeah. So this is large.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So, but okay, so fast. So Art Bell, okay, Coast to Coast AM radio, fascinating. I love that.
Yeah.
And so what got you intrigued in wanting to do it for your area? And then did somebody tell you a story that wanted you to write it down, or?
Well, I mean, it's for me, it's always, because all these people that I'm hearing on the radio, a lot of them are from the West, because that the Rocky Mountains is like ground zero, seems like, for that stuff, but
Yeah, that's where
especially
I'm
the
from.
Northwest.
Yep, I'm from there.
Yeah. So, and I've lived in Montana and Wyoming, and Colorado.
Oh, what part of
No,
Wyoming?
see, when I was in Wyoming, I lived in Riverton. That's just right in the middle of the Indian reservation there,
Okay.
and so that's where I lived there. And then in Montana, I was in Laurel, which is right by Billings, and then I spent
Yeah, I
some
know
time
Billings.
in Big Timber as well, which is further out west on Interstate 90.
Beautiful country out there.
So, oh, it's gorgeous, and I was, and looking back on all of that now, um, it's a wonder I'm still alive, because I was, how you are when you're, in your 20s and 30s, you think you're invincible. I mean, and I would go places on my bike and just hiking, and I wouldn't tell anybody where I was going. Well, for one thing, it was just me and my wife out there. So, but I never told anybody where I was going. Um, and I would a lot of times I'd go off trail, and now knowing, of course, the mountain lions and grizzlies have really, populations of those. I mean, they was bad back then, but they blew up since then. But yeah, I just spend a lot of time by myself like that, and me and usually a dog. But it's a wonder that I never didn't get into trouble, doing that. But yeah, so
I
that's
relate.
yeah, that's just how it goes. But yeah, it's just hearing, when you see when you hear even one story that's close to, where I live here, and you're like, what? You seen what? And so yeah, I'd say, well, tell me the story. They was always kind of old, what we'd call old wives' tales or fables that my dad and uncles would talk about around the campfire. Of just you know ghosts or just things to try to scare me or the kids that were there. But there was always that. But that's what got me, you know, kind of perking my ears up per se around here is it was so localized to me. And so from that, from the time I heard the first incident or whatever, then I start, just you just keep your eyes open and your ears, mostly your ears, because anything anybody says, that you hear, you just follow up on it, and some things, and you know this as well. Some people are very, very uh, closed closed up about talking about this stuff. Even people that've seen stuff, it affects them. Some people it don't affect at all, and then some people they've told the story one time and then they don't tell it ever again to anybody.
Yep.
I find that very odd. Um,
Well, I think with that part right there, I think that the main reason why is because we're brought in at such a young age that these aren't real. The boogeyman's not real. Bigfoot's not real. Come on, it's all
yeah.
fake.
Hmm.
That's all it is. So you have this, this perception already in your mind.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
pre-programmed. Yeah.
exactly. It's where it's not real. So when you see it, you're like, no. And I think a lot of times too, though, a lot of things are misidentifications. You know, but
Yeah. Oh yeah.
like I interviewed a guy. He was a civilian contractor at Fort Carson, Colorado, and they were doing range maintenance, and that's actually the name of the episode, range maintenance. And they saw
Okay.
this craft and this guy, everything else like that, and they're both like, "I'm sorry, what?" And their supervisor was a by the book kind of guy. It happened to be there as well, and they asked him about it later, and he goes, "I don't know what you're talking about." And
Yeah.
I refuse to acknowledge it.
Right. I
And
cannot
there's
confirm or deny.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that are out there like that. They're like, nope, 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 nope.
Yeah.
And that's understandable because it goes against well, okay, so if you see Bigfoot, okay, now that's real. What else is real?
Right. Yeah. Where do you draw the line and say, okay, that's this, because once you kind of, admit that or acknowledge that, then you're right. It's like, where do you stop? Or
E-
what isn't possible?
Exactly.
You know, you
And
know.
now, no, with what I do and everything, it's I look at anything's possible. I think and I tell everybody this because I get asked, when you do this, when you do a show and stuff like, you need to do interview style, program like that I have, I get asked a lot too, though, like, well, is there anybody, you don't believe? And I'm like, no, there's not one person I've interviewed that I have not believed because they encountered something that was real to them.
Yeah.
I was not
Yeah.
there.
Hmm.
Nobody's getting paid to come on my show. They're not writing. Well, I have authors that have come on my show, but the people, other people that are not writing books, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, excuse me, but they're not, none of that stuff. These are, our neighbors,
Hmm.
these are our friends who are having these encounters and coming on and saying, okay, this happened to me,
Yeah.
and kudos to them.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it takes some fortitude to be able to come forward when you've seen something like that that's just so unexplainable. And I can't imagine what it would be like if you did actually witness something, and what the thoughts that would be going through your mind as you tried to play out, do I tell this or do I not? Or if I do, who do I tell it to? You know, yeah, that's got to be a
Well, were you there when I kind of give the cliff notes Saturday about my incident, the AHA event down in Fort Hood?
yeah, yeah,
Okay, so
yep.
for that one, like when I was in service, who do you tell?
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, that yeah,
I
when
mean, I'll
you're
be
in
honest
that,
with you. I mean, I was already known as that guy,
yeah.
but that was going to confirm even more of me being that guy.
Yeah.
It's where I
Hmm.
even felt so bad to where, the two soldiers that were with me, they came up to me about a week later. They had a map out like, hey, look, Soren, this is what we found. There's like on the map right here, it says there's an archaeological site that's about 1,000 meters away from where we were at. And I went, great, I don't know what you're talking about. And I just let it go.
Yeah.
And I felt
Yeah.
bad. I felt absolutely bad for telling them that. But it was
I know.
just,
Yeah.
I'm in one of the most masculine professions at the time. I mean, yeah. Now they're like, look, Soren Orton's crazy. He's seeing Bigfoot and ghosts out in the woods. I would never get a cool operation, anything, or be respected among my peers ever again.
Oh yeah, you're done at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, and as you said, when you're in the military or any branch of the government, that's a whole other layer that's plastered over, any kind of, witnessing anything like that. I mean,
yeah.
I don't care what it is.
Oh yeah,
You have to
Germany.
really consider it. Yeah.
We were in Germany training, and I was sitting in the turret of a Bradley, and it's kind of cool. It's got like thermals and everything you see, and I'm in the Bradley commander seat, and it's like 3:00 in the morning. We're pulling security, and the guy that's being the gunner, he's scanning back and forth, and all of a sudden he goes target, and I went, what? And I looked through the commander site, and I was like, what in the hell is that? And it was this weird white hot, and we had it was white hot on thermal, so that the temperature wise it would show white, everything black. And I'm like, I was like, go to black hot, and he switched. I was like, what? It didn't change shape or form. I'm like, what the hell is that? It's not a vehicle. And I was just getting ready, and I popped up out of the turret to look in the direction of the barrel so I could see. And I was just about to tell him to laze it. And he said, it's moving. And I looked at it again, and it shot straight up into the air to the point where when it went up, he took the controls and followed it up with the barrel, right? And I stood up looking skyward to see where it didn't see anything at all. And he looked at me and he goes, what do we do, Sergeant? And I go, what do you mean, what do we do? And he goes, do we call it in? And I went, no.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, we're not calling this in at all. No.
Wow.
Well, let's get into the stories. Let's get into the stories of the area, because the area fascinates me. And I now have a personal interest in the stories because I think I'm now part of the encounters of the area.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into it. So you were telling one a little bit the other day. So let's get into because you're the historian. I want to hear the stories.
Yeah. So, I've got these laid out here, and I've learned of another one today that.
Whoa.
And it's even older than any of the other ones that I had.
Well, let's do that one.
Yeah. And so this is because I want to try to give people. And I don't know. So, we kind of was going to keep this area.
The foothills of the Ozarks.
Yeah. So I guess we could say all of these, and I think I can do this and keep it real. So this first one occurred about 16 miles southwest from where I'm at.
Okay.
And
now you don't have to give like exact locations or anything. You just say,
well, yeah,
Farmer Bob was out plowing his field and had a boulder hit him in the head.
Yeah, I guess, and I could do this at the end, I guess, but I want to give people a proximity of how. And I didn't realize this till I was mileaging this on the map earlier today. How close this cluster is, and that to me was very eye-opening. But anyway, so. The story goes, the best we can tell from the gentleman I was talking to today, this would have probably happened based on this guy's age in the 60s, in the 1960s. This guy was 15 years old at the time, and he was with some of his buddies on a creek, and full disclosure, they had been drinking. But
okay, so I'm going to pause everybody real quick. Since you mentioned the drinking part. All right. My favorite question I get asked all the time sometimes is, well, were y'all drinking? And I'm going to go, yes. But I've never hallucinated ever drinking
Yeah, but
ever.
it's people love to use that, especially critics like to use that as a scapegoat.
Oh, exactly. Oh, they were
And
drinking. Of course they
yeah,
were. I'm on the river. What do you think I'm doing? I mean,
right. Yeah,
the show is
exactly.
called The Drunken Cryptids, folks.
Yeah, but I mean, I could see maybe if somebody was to the point they were passed out or whatever. But for this story's sake, I know this person wasn't all that drunk because what had happened, the best I can gather, was they had, of course, people, guys like to play music while they're drinking, and the battery I think had run out on it was dead on his truck. I guess from probably playing music so long or whatever. But I mean, this was in the '60s, so they may or may not have been a radio involved. But either way, he was having to walk out of said location, and as he was walking out, and bear in mind, this kid's 15 years old, so he's walking out. It's dark, and all he has is a flashlight. And and what I'm about to tell you is very indicative of other stories that I've heard. But as he was walking out up this road, he starts hearing something pacing him to his either right or left side. Doesn't really matter, but it's off to his side. And it he like I said, he's 15 years old, so he's scared. He don't know what it is. But over the course of him walking out, this thing switches sides with him numerous times, as the story goes. And as he's further up the road, he's curious, obviously, as well as scared. And at one point, he shines his flashlight behind him, and he actually catches it walking across the road behind him. And his description was it was a tall, hairy, bipedal creature that was pacing him on either side all the way up this road, walking out from what we would call a holler, a creek around here. And but he didn't try to make contact or stop or anything like that. He just kept going. Obviously, you would probably want to pick up your pace if you actually caught a glimpse of whatever was following you. But so that's the way that story is, and that was, like I said, back based on this guy's age, because he's well up in age now. So that would have been probably early '60s, maybe mid '60s. So that's been a while back.
Yeah, it has been a while back.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, that's around 16 miles southwest where the crow flies from this area.
Well, it kind of fits because it is a really unique geographical area as well.
Yeah, and I mean, would you agree with me about these things? I mean, I've heard a ton of stories, especially it seems like most of them come from the Smoky Mountains, where they will pace people.
They come from all over, and that's
on either side of the trail. They will hear them just following along beside them.
Yep, they'll have it in the Midwest. They'll have it. It's the same thing out west, up north on the East Coast. It's it almost seems like we're being paced out. The funny thing is, everybody feels like they're making sure that I'm leaving. I don't think that's what they're doing. And I think that's a misconception that we may have. I don't think that's their intent. I think they're just kind of like, hey, where are you going? What are you doing?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They're probably, they're probably more than anything else. I mean, I think if they were wanting to attack you, what's holding them back, right? I mean,
yeah.
So it can't be that, because you just don't hear of people getting mauled.
Well, I'm going to go with the 411 cases. I mean, there's a lot of missing people that go missing in the woods.
Yeah, a ton of them. Yeah.
Let's be honest. I mean,
unexplained.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. Oh, we found the remains. Yeah. I mean, that was a bear attack. I mean, easy. So I mean, I do think that any wild creature at all whatsoever, any wild species, is going to have a temper, and it's going to be a good thing. It's going to be a bad thing. I mean, you hear bluff charges. People have had bluff charges from these things and such. But the pacing out, I think it's just kind of keeping pace. Just kind of walking along with them, like, hey, where are you going? What you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. that kind of thing. Because I think that what's funny is I think sometimes we give them too much intelligence,
Mm-hmm.
and then sometimes I don't think we give them enough.
Yeah, yeah,
Prime example,
yeah.
they do not know what a trail cam is. They have no idea what that does.
Right.
I promise
Yeah.
you, they don't have in their little, shelters they're making and their hides they're making, Google, then they're Googling up going, trail cam. Okay, guys, stay away from that. That's a trail cam. They have no
Right.
clue.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's beyond their capability of understanding.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, even, you take a lighter, a simple Bic lighter, and we go
Mm-hmm.
back 400 years, 300 years, 200 years, and we
Mm-hmm.
break out a Bic lighter. We just created magic.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's no concept of these things
Mm-hmm.
for these creatures. And that's why they're avoiding the camera. No, they're not. They don't know what a camera is.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think, there is learned behavior in other animals. I mean, killer whales do this. They come up with new strategies on how to hunt and they pass it along their pod. And so
Yeah.
possibly with Sasquatch, as they're looking, hey, that thing that he's carrying, yeah, no, that thing goes loud bang and it will hurt you.
Right.
So they kind of
Yeah.
have, there are learned, behaviors, I think. And, I'm not, I don't think they're, these super smart, intelligent creatures at all. But I think that they're probably one, if they are an animal, that is the most intelligent animal that we do have on the planet
Oh
besides
yeah.
us.
Right.
So,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah, I would
yeah,
agree with that for sure. And I mean, uh, it's as far as the trail cam issue, man. That's something that I get peppered with all the time. Is why haven't we got a picture of these things? Well, I
well, do you
don't
remember my
know.
demonstration I
You know?
did?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And that answers the question right there.
Well, yeah.
And also thinking
And
about it, if you put something completely alien and foreign in somebody's house,
right.
and they have no
Exactly.
idea what it is, they're going to avoid it. I'm not going near that. No,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
And
know.
I have a feeling. You probably would agree with me that their sense of smell is probably phenomenal.
Oh, it has to be.
So, and I don't know of anybody that tries to cover up their scent when they're putting one of these things up. So that alone, I mean, if you could imagine back to your other analogy, if somebody put something strange in our house and we had the sense of smell of an animal, let's just say a deer. Well, you'd smell the thing probably a long time before you'd see it, but you'd know that something was in there, right?
Yeah, you're like,
So
hold on. All
yeah,
right, who dropped the dookie in the living room?
yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
that's not a
Yeah,
dookie. Sorry, I
yeah,
had to put some humor into it.
yeah, exactly. I mean, but yeah, there's other ways they can, there's ways they can find stuff and know it's there. But
No, I
yeah,
completely agree. Yeah, well, that's pretty cool though that happened to him. So that's all you said. It just kind of marked him out then.
yeah, that was kind of because it was an aged story, so that was the way that he ended it was, and that's pretty much the way that all of the pacing stories that I hear about ends, is the people obviously just keep walking,
Well,
and by the
well,
time they get back, go ahead.
no. Let's talk about the one where the two cars saw it leaving work.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's
Tell that one. Tell
actually
that one. That's a good
yeah,
one. Tell that one.
that's actually the next one on the list, 'cause I
All
actually got
right.
a date on that one today, or a date range anyway. So that's going to be from where the other one, where the previous one was. This one that we're about to talk about is about 6 miles west of that area. To give you as I said before, to give people an idea of how close these things happen. And this, the best we can decipher, was probably around 1983 or 1984, the winter thereof, because there was snow on the ground when this happened. And uh, there was a gentleman that was on his way to work at a factory there in this town, and I believe he was working. It was nighttime, so he probably was going in for the third shift, because this plant ran 3 shifts at that time. But as and I learned a different uh, part of the story today as well. There was a car in front of him as he turned into the long driveway leading up to this factory. And so there was two people that witnessed this. And so as they were turning into the long driveway, there was a car in front of him, and there was a guy behind that actually told the story. But so this creature comes running, and they said it was running like something had frightened it. And I don't know, I wish we could say the name of this place, but I better not. But it came across this field, okay, and cleared. The story goes it cleared a 4-strand barbed wire fence, jumped it, and this is there was apparently around 5 to 6 inches of snow on the ground at this time, and I can vouch for that because we had some pretty big snows in the early 80s around here. But so it clears a fence and runs across the road in front of these two cars, and then exits and keeps. Last time they seen it, it was running, and this was described as a large, shouldered, tall, hairy, bipedal creature. And when the two cars drove on into the factory, and when they got out, the guy in the back asked the guy in the front, did he see that? That was verbatim what he asked him. Did you see that? And that guy said, yes, I did see it, and I'm never talking about it again. And
wow.
That was all that was said about that incident. And there was also I would have to do some digging to find out if this is true, but it would probably be easy enough to find out. But the way this thing crossed the road before it got to the
Okay, you're kind of breaking up on me. Yep, you're coming in broken.
Okay.
That sounded good.
Okay.
Okay, so the last part you left off at was you'd have to do some digging into it to find out. But this
because
it
would have had to cross a state highway, I think, before it would have crossed in front of them. These two individuals that saw it, and there was a report supposedly to the police that night from a strange. I forget how the people worded it that called it in. I think a strange animal or something had crossed the road in front of them at right in that area. And what I'm saying is, if that is true, that probably will be logged in the county paper for that night, because the county papers around here, they probably do about everywhere, they log all the police calls.
Well, part of that too, though, is this. I mean, this was the '80s, right? Early '80s.
Yeah, it was early '80s, we think. Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of times too, though, let's be honest, they really didn't keep meticulous records back then.
Yeah, it's true.
You know,
yeah.
Okay, somebody saw a weird creature a weird animal running across the road. Okay, Henry's smoking again. You know what I mean? So.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And the boys are out. Y'all been drinking? You know.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's you're entirely accurate. I mean, I guess what I was saying, if it could be dug up, and that would be just one other thing to verify that, okay, something did cross the road or two, in this area. If we could get it verified that was even logged on the police report. Now around here, I'll have to say, I mean, the police reports were pretty. I mean, they took up a pretty good page of the paper, and but there again, I mean, it could be. But for my sake, I would like to find it just to nail down the exact date of when it happened, and I would like to find somebody that could, that would want to talk about it, firsthand. But I don't know if that was even possible because, time has passed. People obviously die. I don't know if they're still alive or not. But just one of them things. But that to me, and I believe that was the first story that I heard that was local to me. Um, kind of made me, kind of start taking stock and taking note of things that were happening around here, out of the ordinary. But
Well,
yeah, that'd be something, and then these people, they were, um, you know, they were going to work. They wouldn't. This is 80s, early 80s. They wouldn't drunk or stoned or anything like that. I believe something crossed the road in front of them, and they're saying it was large, and if it jumped the fence and was walking upright, it wasn't a bear. Um, I mean, so it was something, and this is down. This will be where this factory is located, is right next to the river here, and it's back then there was not as many buildings around, and it was where it came from. The area that it came from was what was described as a swampy, really damp, wet, an area that stayed damp and wet a lot of the year. That they don't really have a whole lot of significance, but just kind of a detail.
Well, to be honest with you, so I think with every encounter, every detail that we can get out, the location, where it came from, what it saw, what direction it was moving into. Prime example. So when I got to Ray and Lisa's place there on Saturday, and they had the one possible track, and that they had in the front yard, and they were trying not to mow around. They're trying to save it for I could get up there, and of course y'all getting a lot of rain lately. I was looking, going, okay, this is a track. This is the direction it's heading. This is the direction it came from. Well, actually, the direction it came from. So I always want to know, where's it going?
Yeah.
And it took me all of about 10 minutes to find beside their driveway an opening for something to get through without, they're going to take the path of least resistance in the woods, the same as every other animal is.
Exactly. Yep.
And that's why I try and explain to people. They're not just, they're not right there in this. They're covered in fur. They're going to get snagged. It's going to get yanked. I got hit with thorns, and I got a pretty good little cut on my arm from a thorn on Saturday. And my first thought was, And then, of course, they have probably a tougher hide, so it's built up over time that, withstand those things and not be discomfort. But they are going to take the path of least resistance when it comes to movement.
Mm-hmm.
The low swampy areas and stuff like that, I think they're kind of designed for that. So with all these encounters, they'll get in the location, kind of swamp, kind of this, kind of that. It's kind of, I always think it's important.
Yeah. And I guess just to digress a little bit, but are you familiar with? I'm sure you are. You have to be with the Falk, Arkansas creature.
Oh yes.
Yeah. But on the subject of swampy areas, that's very, very swampy down there, and there's just multiple sightings down there. But anyway, so they are, I believe, adapted to those kind of environments, and multiple environments. But I don't think they have any trouble at all living under those kind of conditions.
No, I think they're perfectly suited for any of those conditions. They have environmentally adapted themselves to their environment. But speaking of environment, real quick, I want to talk about the area. There's some kind of really unique geological stuff, like round rocks.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. So, since you're from there, you should know that. You know what I mean? Yeah, because I didn't know about this until Saturday morning. Somebody told me about it. And they're like, look out for these round rocks. And I was like, what?
Yeah. They have, of course, obviously they've been around forever, but they just kind of came into, of course, this area used to be inhabited by, just a couple of, maybe 3 or 4 large families, back in the early 1900s, late 1800s, when this area started getting settled. everybody had large families, right?
Yeah.
And like my dad he had 8 brothers, I think, and a sister. I mean, that was just commonplace. So for, this long generation, you had this long generation of people who, they were all brothers, and so basically everybody knew everybody. Well, as time progressed, these people start, dying off and whatnot. Well, they've only had a couple of kids, right? So, it becomes a depopulation thing. So we have these houses that come up for sale in various spots. So we get people coming in from outside, other places, and they, and it's kind of weird because things that you're used to seeing all your life, and if somebody new comes in and they see it and they're like totally enamored with it. And so I think that's kind of how they got their notoriety, is the rocks did, or this area known for those is, of course, obviously when people see one and they are attracted to it, they maybe they're a rock hound or whatever, geologists, was it for sale? Can I purchase it? That kind of thing. And then once the word gets out, then people want them for landscaping, their house or whatnot. So a lot of them have been hauled off to places like Memphis, Little Rock, Dallas, areas like that where people, there's a larger revenue stream, or there's more wealth, and people just get like stuff like that to put in their yard. But yeah, they've been around forever. There's, of course, we have a large contingent of religious people there who just believe they were, left over from the flood of Noah's day. And then Arkansas has sent, the state of Arkansas, or probably the University of Arkansas, I guess, has sent geologists out there to kind of analyze them and whatnot. They have their own theory of how they were made or developed, but they're actually pretty neat. I mean, the geologist calls them spheres. They don't really just call them a round rock. They just call them spheres, which they are. Most of them are very, they're round and smooth, like they've been tumbled in a huge tumbler, per se. But yeah, it's gotten, so that's how that it gets, kind of gets known for.
Well,
that.
I mean, the people kind of know what we're talking about. They probably already know the town, which is fine. Yeah. But I mean, we're going to let them. I mean, if they're going to research it, we'll let them research it.
You let them research it, yeah.
But and the only reason why I want to bring that up was because when this was told to me, this stayed in the back of my mind a little bit throughout the day on Saturday. And so, if there's some kind of strange, weird geological formation of these certain rocks that are happening there, is there something special? I mean, is there something a little bit more special? Because it seems to me that for whatever reason, this is a hot area for these things.
Yeah, it's a hotter area than anywhere in the immediate area. I mean, I would have
never guessed.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, I don't think would have guessed, and I mean, it's hard for me to say definitively without going out, away from here and kind of talking to people. I mean, I know people that live 40 and 50 and 60 miles from here, that I could probably talk to. But yeah, it seems to be very localized here. Now, as far as the rocks go, and I can tell you this of certainty, those type of rocks are only they're only known to exist, I believe, in 2 other places in the world. I think one of them is Utah, and
Sharker.
The other one, yeah, exactly. And the other one is somewhere over. Seems like Egypt comes to mind. I'm thinking somewhere in the Mediterranean area, but I believe it's Egypt. I'm pretty sure it is. But yeah, they're and like I said, people that they're most people have the biblical view around here, which I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm not knocking that. I don't know, But because they have that, they don't really doesn't they have a kind of a don't care attitude about because once you have an idea in your mind about how something happened or came to be, then you just okay, that's how it happened. Game, case closed. So they don't really think anything of it. They think it's neat and it's cool and all that. And there's but they have identified that there's a certain what I call it, an area or a strip, I guess would be the best way to. It's a strip of land or a strip of real estate where these things are most prominent, and they have discovered that, and that all came to be when the demand for them arose, and people started then when they found out they were valuable, and people that had them on their property, they start looking for them on other places on their property, i.e. in valleys or hollows, places like that they weren't accustomed to going into and looking for these things. So just from that, they figured out, okay, these things start here at point A, and my neighbor who owns the tract of land, on whatever side of me, he's got them on his property too, starting in that area, and they go to point B on his property. So, they're not everywhere. That's important to note as well.
Okay, well, I have one favor to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when I come back up there on the 12th, okay, can you show me one?
Oh, I can show you a huge one. My dad's got a huge one in his yard because his best friend has them on his property, and he give one to my dad, an enormous one. It broke the springs on his pickup when they loaded it.
Good Lord. I kind of want one, but I'm not going to.
Well, I mean, yeah. As a matter of fact, I think he's got two, but I know he's got one that is enormous.
I wonder if I could load one in the Jeep.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I would.
No, I wouldn't either. No.
As Steve-O says on Jackass, that would be a bad call.
Yeah,
right.
I agree. That would be a bad car. Come home. I can see Talina now. You brought what home?
Yeah.
Get the wheelbarrow.
Yeah. He had a at the time he had a 3/4 ton Chevy pickup, 4-wheel drive, and he had to go down this steep road down to this holler, and his buddy had a backhoe, and his buddy tries to talk him out of it. He says this thing is too heavy for that truck, and my dad's like, how people are in that generation. It's not too heavy. This is a Chevy. Put the thing on there, right? Well, he puts it on there, and that squatted that truck all the way. The frame was touching the axle. I mean, it was bad.
Yeah,
truck was never the same after that. Let's say that. But they're extremely heavy, and they come in all shapes.
So when they did you ever find out what they said they were made out of? Or they just granite? Or I mean, what is it?
No, it's straight up sandstone.
How crazy is that?
Yeah, we have no granite around here. It's sandstone, the same as. I mean, you can find some limestone up from like north of here, 20, 30 miles, and then further north, there's a lot of limestone. But here, it's all sandstone, and that's what these things are made of. And they are. A lot of them are just laying on the top of the ground, much like you would see out west where the glaciers had receded, so many million years ago, the last ice age, which hadn't even been a million years ago, actually. But you know how you just see rocks deposited out in the field, and it looks like they just fell out of the sky. I mean, that's kind of what these look, but we have no
They're
record.
perfectly round.
Yeah. There's, you'll find one once in a while that is cracked, split in half or whatever. They've never found anything. Out west you have. I'm sure you're familiar with the geode.
Yep.
Where you'll find like these crystals and whatnot in the center of them. These are not like that. I mean, to my knowledge, nobody's ever cracked one open and found anything abnormal in them. It's just sandstone.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
the only reason I bring that up is because I'm looking at the whole
The whole picture,
The
yeah.
whole picture of everything is what I'm trying to do, and it just seems to be, you know, there's something going on definitely in the and I can and I'm a witness now to it happening there. And I mean, the night after the next night, which podcast time travel, well, for you and me it was last night, but for everybody
Yeah.
else a couple of weeks ago. The activity was pretty rough up there for them.
Mm-hmm.
So Ray and Lisa actually kind of had a tough time, and there is definitely something going on. And getting a chance to sit down and talk with Ray and Lisa, one-on-one, personal, not over the phone, not doing an interview, not explaining their encounters and such. What really got to me was when we were down there in the one holler, where the growl came from, and me and Ray were talking, and I brought up about what my plan of action was for that night, and he looked at me with shock, and it was like, "You're coming out here at night?" And I went, "Yeah,
Why not?
yeah." And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "You're not, yeah. I won't be with you." And I was like, "Really?" He was like, "Yeah, I don't come out at night. I won't come out at night." And I mean, very, very adamant about it.
Yeah,
And
that speaks volumes.
yes,
Somebody, yeah.
Ray, being former Marine law enforcement and stuff like that, and this guy's looking at me going, "I'm not coming out of my own property at night."
Yeah.
To where something actually scared him. But Ray stepped up, came out, and went out. And and I love, me and Ray, I love Ray. So I wasn't armed at all. I wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, when I go do these things, they're fun. It's fun
Mm-hmm.
for me. I'll let other people be armed. I'm just fine with that. I mean, if Sasquatch, if I'm going to die because Sasquatch rips me apart, I mean, I'm going famous, man. Let me tell you something like that. You know what I mean?
You're going to be the most famous person in the world.
Exactly. My kids be like going, "My dad was the one killed by Sasquatch. What do you think about that one?" Boom. Your dad's
Exactly.
a what? Brain surgeon? Nothing. My dad
Yeah.
was killed by Bigfoot.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
and so and Ray took it upon himself. He looked at me. He shouldered up and he's like, I'm security. I'm security. I'm security." And I was like, "Ray, you're security. All right. You got it. You got it. You're security." And he overcame it. He needed to do it. He needed to do it for himself, I believe.
Yeah.
But he's not overcome it though, still. So, which is understandable. But that, and what's funny is that, because Jacob even brought it up to me as well when we were getting ready. And he goes, "Hey, I'm getting a little nervous about going out there." And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah." And he looked at me and goes, "And you're a kid in a candy store." I said, "I sure am. I'm excited to come home."
Right.
Let's. Oh, you saw me when I came back up. "Hi, how are you?" "I just got growled at."
Yeah.
"Hi, I'm Matthew Orton. Nice to meet you. I just got
Mm-hmm.
growled at." Yeah, I met you right after I got growled at.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is, like we were talking earlier, these things affect people differently.
Oh, yeah.
And
most
maybe I'm
definitely.
the odd one. But Jacob was nervous. Jacob was nervous about going out there. Not nervous at all. Now, the bulb knob investigation that we did, I mean, yeah, I'm like, I put off going up there after that one thing, me going up there. I was like, "Yeah, I'm pretty good. I don't think I want to go. I do. I want to go. I don't. I do. I don't. I do. You know what I mean?"
Mm-hmm.
And for this place, I'm like, "Hey, we're coming back up there July 12th. We'll be there. Here we go. This is what's going on. We're coming, So, yeah, there's still, I mean, with the activity going on and with, Ray and Lisa being as nice as they are and having us come back. But what's getting me on this one, too, though, is the neighbors are having the activity, too. It's going through
Yeah.
all the properties. It's going through there. And even the neighbors are, they're acknowledging it. And I think one of the neighbors made a comment of like, "You're going out at night, you're brave." And I'm going, what is going on up here? And speaking of
no.
things at night, what happened to you at night?
Oh, you're talking to me.
Uh-huh, yeah, what happened to you at night? Yeah.
Oh, well, was you referring to a certain
Yeah, sure.
story?
Yeah, the certain story you told me about the garage, yeah, about the close the shop.
Oh, okay. I got you. I'm sorry. I'm spacing out over here. But
No,
yeah,
you're fine.
so
You're fine. I do that
this,
sometimes too.
so I guess it was about man, time flies. It's probably been 2 years ago now. I have a long 30 by 110 shop that I restore cars in and whatnot, back kind of to the side of my house. It faces west, and so there's a big garage door at the end of it facing west. And I was closing down for the evening. It was getting dusk, and I just reach up with my left hand to pull the rope to pull the garage door down, and I pulled it, and the door starts coming down, and I caught it, and about that time, I hear there's like how many acres would that be? Probably a 15-acre field right behind my shop there, and down at the fence line of this field, um, and it was a still, quiet evening, which is kind of wind blows a lot here because I'm at a higher elevation in most places, but this particular evening was deadly, was calm. As I as I pull the door down and stop it with my two hands, I hear these three loud. They were, I don't know, they were lower pitched than what people would describe as a whoop. They wouldn't that high pitched, but they were more like, these animal shows you listen to where you hear an orangutan or a gorilla or something like that just screaming out. Um, it sounded, I mean, it was so out of place for this area or anywhere on this continent for that matter. 'Cause I know about every sound any animal makes, but yeah, it screamed three times and it sounded like a huge ape, and got my attention. You know, I was certainly paying attention from that point. But I remember I stayed there to see if it would do it again, because I kind of wanted to be sure that I heard what I thought I heard. But it never did do it again. But there was three distinct, uh, loud, loud screams, and so I have no idea what it could have been. It wasn't anything. I mean, it wasn't a cat. I know what they sound like. We don't really have them around. It wasn't a bear or anything like that. But it was definitely something large, something that had a large lung capacity. Uh, I mean, that was the first thing that stood out to me was, my God, at the set of lungs, whatever that was, you know,
Yeah.
because it was just so loud. I mean, it echoed, and um, but yeah, that's the only thing that I have, heard, that really. Um, I'll be honest, it frightened me because you don't know what it is. I'm like any other, most other humans anyway. Some people don't get frightened by that stuff, but um, yeah, it was definitely out of the ordinary, and it's something I've never heard since, and so I have no idea what it was, but it certainly was strange.
Well, so I relate to that. So the sound that I heard, really, that sounded smart. So the grunts that we heard, I'm trying to describe like a grunt huff. It was a weird noise, and it was, so Ray was up front, and Jacob was in the middle, and I was in the rear. And Ray was trying to get us to this little runoff thing that come off the road, runs on down to the pond kind of thing, kind of look at it. And the first one, and it was kind of like a little, oh, 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 oh. Not repeat like that, but I just made the dogs bark. But it was kind of like a whoo kind of sound.
Yeah,
And then they turned left. I turned right, thinking that's where it was coming from, and immediately afterward was another whoo kind of sound.
yeah,
And they turned to the right. And so they're going, it was left and right. And I was going, no, it was right, right. And, so, I mean,
yeah. That's
and then we heard something moving. And we couldn't see anything moving, got no eye shine, nothing like that, trying to, what I mean, like, come on. And
hmm
so, but it stopped, whatever it was. And, I don't know, like, and then you and me were talking too, I'll put this on the air. That little growl that I heard, since you talked about the bobcat incident, I'm now going to start looking up, and I never thought bobcat. And that's the
yeah.
cool thing about this stuff, because, something growled. I,
hmm
I, I never once told you Sasquatch growled at me, remember? I just said I
Yeah.
got growled at.
Right.
Something
Yeah.
growled at me. It was pretty cool. So
Yeah. That's always it's no doubt it's exciting. I mean, it's just something that I mean, I've lived here all my life. I know what every animal sounds like, and this was just completely out of character. I mean, completely. I mean, it was like I had stepped into the Little Rock Zoo to, the gorilla exhibit or the chimpanzee exhibit or something. I mean, that's exactly what it sounded like. And yeah, I'll never forget it. I know that it was it was something.
no, I'm with you on that one. So I want to start kind of bringing this in for a landing because I'm real curious um, about since you collecting stories and you collecting everything going on and accounts that's happening up there. What's your opinion of why they're there? Have you garnered an opinion or a
Yeah,
theory
thought
yet?
about that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, I can't. Yeah, I've thought about it. I can't say haven't thought about it. I mean, you got the obvious things that come to mind as far, I believe they need a lot of remote, dense, you know, area terrain. But there's a lot of that, in this part of the state. I honestly I can't put my finger on anything that's out of the ordinary that's here
Other
that
than the
we have
round
here.
rocks.
Yeah, other than the Round Rocks. Um, yes, I mean I have no idea. I mean, I just know that people are seeing things and hearing things that are strange for sure, and um, it's hard to say. I wouldn't want to hazard a guess as far as why they're here. Um,
Well, yeah, I agree. I was curious if you had
yeah,
a theory
yeah,
on it because
yeah,
what gets me the most, especially about with Ray and Lisa's property and such, in most cases that I had heard, if you're having activity on the property, put up sensor lights. That's going to stop them. Put up
mm,
cameras. That's going to
yeah,
stop them. It almost
hmm,
seems like it scares them away.
yeah,
It hasn't.
hmm,
They have the whole backyard lit up, and there was one point where um, Lisa asked, "Do you want us to turn the lights off in the back?" And I was like, "Yeah." And Ray went, "No." And I
mm,
went, "No, we're not keeping the light. We're not turning the lights off." You know,
hmm,
and that tells me so much right there. Again, former Marine guy. You know, um, spent. I want to say he spent maybe 6, 7 years in the Marine Corps, and then law enforcement after that. So I
yeah,
mean, this isn't some. This isn't. You know, yeah, this is a trained individual,
right, yeah,
a trained disciplined individual, trained to be
hmm,
disciplined individual.
yeah,
And when he looked at me and said he was not going out there, and and then I was kind of crazy for going out there, I was like, I understand, yeah, I
yeah,
there's something to it,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's enough that gets you scared.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. There's no doubt about that. It gets your attention
Definitely. Well,
for
so
sure.
you're gonna come meet us on the 12th?
Or when you come back up here
Yeah,
on the
when I come
12th.
back up there, yeah, on the 12th, you're gonna come meet us.
I will do my best to do it. I've got it. Let's get it scheduled in my phone so it'll alert me a couple of days before.
Yeah, do that because you're going to get a
And
chance to meet some of the other members of the team.
okay.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I was getting messaged while we were talking, and I just got some lidar map images of the property.
Oh,
Yeah, so
okay.
yeah, so I'm kind of curious to get a chance to sit down and do this, and you know, yeah, I'm pretty
Now,
excited about it.
are those the images that you can pull up from the USGS website?
I don't know how my boy gets them, but I'm just letting it go. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
he's really good. He pulled up some lidar images of our Bald Knob area, and we happened to find some mounds that were on LiDAR, and we're like, whoa.
Okay, well, that sounds like what I described there. I looked at my area here because I have an old wagon road on my property, and it's you know how they like the Oregon Trail out west is dished out where the wagons.
Yeah.
I have a piece of that, and I mentioned it to my dad here a while back, and he said, "Yeah, there was an old road there." So I'm going out there with a metal detector one day, and I find the spindle of an old wagon out there that's
How
buried.
cool is that?
So seen that it was, there was depression in the dirt. Well, I knew about this website, so I thought, well, I could probably follow that road and see where it goes. And sure enough, when I pulled it up, you could see the road, because the lidar that I'm talking, because there's 2 or 3 different kinds of lidar. The one I'm describing strips away all the vegetation.
Yep.
All you see is the terra firma and the depressions and whatever in it. And yeah, you could plainly make out the depression and see where it, went down the holler and come up on the other side and
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's pretty interesting. Yeah, there's no doubt that's
Well, that's pretty cool. You have a wagon trail on your property. Like, look, we have found a wagon trail. I love that.
Oh yeah, stuff that old stuff like that just fascinates me. I mean, I never get enough of it. But yeah, it was pretty cool for sure.
Awesome. Okay, so put it in your calendar. We'll be out there in a couple of weeks. As you get a chance to meet, some of the members of the team. We're going to be out there for quite a while that day. Apparently, last night I ramped up around 10 o'clock. Me and Jacob left about 9 o'clock the other night, so we missed it by an hour. So we'll be staying a lot later.
Yeah.
And of course, if it starts popping off activity, I'm staying. I mean, that's just how I am. And I am still finding ticks on me. I'll tell you that right now. I really am. After 2 days later, I still find that I'm on me. Little bastards.
That's why I didn't go out. I have learned over the years from living around here. You just I don't go out in the woods until after it frosts.
I get that. I'll be honest with you. I was wanting to hold off until that happened.
Yeah.
But I want to be able to come up and help Brandley's out, see what I can, see what we can do for him. So, but well, Bartley, put it in your calendar, man. Thank you so much for coming on, talking with me. I felt kind of bad we didn't get a chance to talk too much the other day, so I was hoping this would kind of make up for it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but thank you again for sharing stories and sharing what's going on, some of your thoughts and theories by living there. Of course, coming back up there, we'll get together. We'll come up with some other, see if we can try and come up with something that's happening or what's attracting them.
Yeah.
Or what we can do to try and, besides, have Ray go out there try and pop off shotgun shells every night,
Yeah.
Because ammo is expensive.
It is. Yeah.
So let's definitely pay attention to that one. So, but thank you again. I sure do appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, I tell you guys what, thank you for listening to another episode of the Drunken Cryptids. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. I appreciate all the support and help you guys have been doing for the show. You guys are great. I appreciate it. Remember, if you've had an encounter, you want to come on the show, email me, drunkencryptids@gmail.com. Shoot us some messages on Facebook as well. We're there, all your social media platforms. Make sure you like and share and follow. Thanks for listening, guys. I appreciate it. Until next time, keep on squatching.
I can do anything that I want. I can do anything that I want now. I can do anything that I want. Hey, hey, if it is to be, you know that it's up to me. I'm headed to the front. I can be anything that I want. I can be anything that I want now. I can be anything that I want. Hey, hey, if it is to be, you know that it's up to me. I'm headed to the front. I'm the king of the